Feels like it. All right. Here we go. A little bit more people. When I looked at my first dollar, I'm like, wow, was there a senior skip? And I didn't know about it. I don't know. Is that stuff still being planned even in this? All right, there we go. There we go. I remember my parents are like, they did not sanction, but they just said, you know, you will understand whatever consequences. Like, I understand. I understand. And ours seemed to be very elaborately planned, but it did occur. It did occur. And I would say that was the one time where I'm like, okay, I think I'll drop the hair down, let the hair down, let's go and do it. So we did. All right. So here we go. Welcome today. It is Tuesday, right? And we are going to continue with this Cold War theme. And you've been looking at collapse of communism and how it affected 3 countries. And today I want to just highlight about a 6-minute video clip here of challenges within the Soviet Union. And the leader of the Soviet Union at this time is Mikhail Gorbachev, and there are a lot of leaks going on with the Soviet Union that he is somehow trying to fix. All right, and we'll see in this little clip how well is he doing. And you know, the golden arches will appear. All right, the golden arches will appear in here. That's going to be huge. All is good when the golden arches appear, because everybody wants their French fries. All right. So with that, we'll watch a little video.
The Soviet Union itself that Gorbachev faced insuperable problems. He could allow freedom to the satellites, but would he allow it to the Soviet republics? There were 15 separate republics. Most wanted independence. The Soviet Communist Party was losing control. Goods in the shops were scarce.
We rightly chose freedom, democracy, glasnost and pluralism. But we got one thing wrong. People judge the state of the country by what they could or couldn't buy in the markets and shops.
Many older people found the pace of change upsetting.
We promised that things would get better, but things were getting worse and worse. We should have allowed freedom of trade, but Gorbachev didn't dare.
Making the transition to a market economy was hard, but they did allow the opening of Moscow's first McDonald's. The young wanted pop music, fashion, the chance to make money, the right to travel.
Society moved on, and the party stayed where it was. People started running like rats from a sinking ship.
Gorbachev gave Soviets for the first time the freedom to demonstrate. Now demonstrations called for an end to the Communist Party's monopoly of power. But communist hardliners opposed reform. Despite them, Gorbachev, himself a communist, chose pluralism. The Communist Party, which had ruled since the October Revolution of 1917, would have to share power with others. It was a complete break with the practice of Lenin and Stalin. Of the 15 republics of the Soviet Union, the Russian Federation was the largest. Most were responding to Gorbachev's loosening control, with demands for national freedom. In the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, annexed by Stalin in 1940, the demand was total independence. In January 1990, Gorbachev had gone to Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, to argue that the Soviet Union must not be broken up.
Перестройка, с одной стороны, вот она открыла возможности через демократию, гласность, через признание реальностей. А реальность — это то, что мы многонациональное государство, и мы должны считаться с народами. Это не Америка.
Despite Gorbachev, the other Baltic states, Estonia and Latvia, followed Lithuania's lead and also demanded independence.
Была попытка остановить поток.
He was trying to dam a river that was in full flood,
А река была
but the current was too strong.
Она все равно
It broke the dam and flooded everything in its path.
сломала все на своем пути.
Boris Yeltsin had been Communist Party chief in Moscow. Popular, ambitious, he now used economic discontent to weaken Gorbachev and the Soviet Union. In May 1990, he was chosen parliamentary leader of the Russian Republic.
Yeltsin is a very good man for Russian people. Gorbachev, Bush, goodbye, 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 goodbye.
На каком-то этапе people began to question Gorbachev's reforms. They started to listen to demagogues who promised that everything would be better tomorrow.
Yeltsin's struggle with Gorbachev was out in the open. Russia, richest of the republics, would be Yeltsin's road to power.
Gorbachev would never really acknowledge that the Soviet Union would break up. Yeltsin recognized that it was inevitable. And he was one of the first to take the initiative, saying Russia should declare its sovereignty and independence. Indeed, that's how he actually urged the other republics to become independent.
On the international scene, Gorbachev was still the man the West could do business with. At their meetings, Gorbachev asked Bush for help in his economic difficulties. Bush warned Gorbachev not to use violence if the Baltic states pushed for independence.
It looked like the Soviet Union was coming unstuck a little bit. At that point, I think we started to believe we were in a race to try to finish the business of ending the Cold War with Gorbachev still in power.
The Red Army was pulling out of an Eastern Europe it had dominated for decades. In Germany, the troops would leave a question mark behind them. Divided by the Cold War, Germany was moving towards unification. Would the Soviet Union really allow a united Germany to belong to the West's military alliance, NATO?
Personally, for Gorbachev and for me, it wasn't a problem. But it was a problem for Soviet society, which had gone through the terrible war with fascist Germany and suffered the death of 20 or 30 million people.
They really ended up not having any other alternative. If they really meant what they said about we will not use force to keep the empire together, that meant that a country should be free to choose its own alliances.
The West German Chancellor Helmut Kohl undertook to limit Germany's military strength, to pay the Red Army's resettlement costs, not to station nuclear weapons in East Germany. Kohl was ecstatic. Gorbachev had accepted that a united Germany could belong to NATO.
We called the agreement between Gorbachev and Kohl VE Day 2, because it really was, that was the end of the Cold War.
The divided Germany at the heart of the Cold War was reunited. August the 2nd, 1990, Iraq invades Kuwait. Iraq was a Soviet ally. In spite of Iraqi-Soviet ties, Secretary of State Baker succeeded in persuading Shevardnadze to a joint condemnation of the invasion.
The minister has indicated that there was some difficulty on the part of the Soviet Union in coming to this agreement.
Shevardnadze had consulted Gorbachev, but he knew their hardline enemies would use it against them. In Moscow, the daily lines for food grew longer. Tempers rose.
Can you imagine we'd live to see the day when we needed coupons to buy socks? There weren't even any socks available. There was nothing on the shelves except out-of-date tins of fish. That was the result of perestroika. When Boris Nikolaevich Yeltsin suggested a new way forward, of course, people supported him.
Can you see the problems that Mikhail Gorbachev is faced with in the Soviet Union? Is Mikhail Gorbachev really intending to end the Soviet Union? We could say he's not. That's not his goal, to end the Soviet Union. What's he trying to do? Okay, and so what he's trying to do is perhaps what we asked government to do, a basic need of, or a basic, if we look, if there's a social contract between us and government, he is looking like he's trying to make government a little bit more accountable to the needs of the people. All right, and so what he thinks, though, is if he loosens it up a little bit, that is what they want. In reality, what do they want? What was that? Yes, to get rid of the Soviet Union. And so we can talk about the Cold War and the role that the United States and the West is playing in pressure on the Soviet Union. But as we see in the 1980s and that there is enough internal pressure and pressure within the Eastern Bloc countries that this end is going to happen. It's going to happen. And all the United States is going to try to do is, we're going to try to figure out what is going to be our role in this process and try to get some unfinished business taken care of. And one of the big pieces of unfinished business to be taken care of is Germany. And Germany seems to always come back. It was there in the beginning, it was there in the middle, and now it's there at the end. And by allowing Germany to reunite and the wall come down, and an agreement is signed, and the United States, Great Britain, France, and the Soviet Union all need to agree, because we were the warring powers and the occupying power. We had to agree to allow that to happen. By doing that, that really kind of signifies the war is over. World War II is officially over. And that's why Condoleezza Rice had said we look at that as Victory in Europe Day when that moment happens. Now, Helmut Kohl, Chancellor of West Germany, of course, he's going to have to shell over millions and millions of dollars, all right, or Deutschmarks to the Soviet Union in return for this agreement, and he does that because we did not anticipate. We hoped, but we did not anticipate that unification of Germany is going to happen. When the moment is there, just seized on it, seized on, and it happened very, very quickly. Now, Gorbachev in the Soviet Union, how is he perceived? You know, if we give him a thumbs up, thumbs down in the Soviet Union, thumbs up, thumbs down on Gorbachev. What do you think? Yeah, there's a thumbs down. Outside the Soviet Union, thumbs up or thumbs down? Yeah, there's a thumbs up, because we're looking at, oh, here's a guy that we could probably work with compared to previous ones. And it was George Bush, when he was vice president of Ronald Reagan, who had told Ronald Reagan, I think we got a Soviet premier or a leader that we can work with. And he would be correct. My last point here is I remember Mikhail Gorbachev when he came to the great state of Minnesota. Yes, bro. What? Yes, he came to Minnesota in 1990, right before the Soviet Union ultimately is going to be collapsing. But Mikhail Gorbachev does go kind of on this goodwill tour around the United States. He did come to Minnesota. Our governor at the time, I will say, is Lee Perpich, who invited Gorbachev to come to Minnesota, and he met with a number of business leaders in Minnesota, because, you know, we are interested in creating business agreements with the Soviets as well. And he got to also experience some of Minnesota's great cuisine as well. There's a restaurant on Grand Avenue known as Tavern on the Grand, which is known for its walleye. And so Mikhail Gorbachev has, you know, Minnesota walleye. So that's huge there as well. So big stuff. And like I said, he was a rock star outside of the Soviet Union. I mean, chants of Gorby, Gorby, Gorby would be heard. So he was extremely popular outside the Soviet Union. And there is an endowment, a fellowship, I should say, at the University of Minnesota with in regards to Gorbachev. So he is still recognized in the great state of Minnesota. So there we go. All right. So with that, any questions? Any questions or any follow-up with this of what we see? The man who is going to ultimately challenge Mikhail Gorbachev is a hard-charging, flamboyant Boris Yeltsin. And he's referred to as a demagogue, but he is going to be a force to be reckoned. And we thought Vladimir Putin's the only one that is filmed without shirt. No, Boris Yeltsin is also filmed without shirts. I do not understand. You know, we've seen a lot of world leaders shirtless and swimming. All that stuff. So with that thought in your mind now, I want you to work on the collapse of communism. Take a look at Poland, East Germany, and Czechoslovakia. See how it happens. And, you know, it's this idea of people power. And seeing if people power is working here in changing their countries from a communist to a non-communist world. So let's work on that. We're going to have time today to work on it, and we'll have time tomorrow to work on it as well. I'll have some finishing touches on Cold War tomorrow. And so if we don't have any questions, let's just plug away at this. And those at home, if you don't have any questions, you can plug away at it at home. All right.